Thanks, Cathaoirleach, and thank you for selecting this important motion this morning. Thank you, Minister, for coming into the House. Minister, as you will know, there are people throughout Mayo and a considerable number looking for suitable housing, both social and private. And I know from my own weekly clinics, dealing with people on many housing matters, and also having had the opportunity to canvass many parts of the county, that this is a real issue for many people. At the same time, going round the county, Minister, I can safely say that there are way too many empty houses in towns, villages and in rural areas. And you can even go to some towns, and in some of the older parts of the towns, the main streets and main streets of these towns and villages, there are so many empty houses. And actually, Minister, as you'll agree, it's a very depressing sight. And I do believe no matter how many houses that we build and that you are building in terms of social housing and encourage private house building, and that figure is ramping up, which is welcome, that we cannot ignore these empty houses, and something has to be done because they're not going to go away and we don't want them to fall down. And the other issue is, Minister, that many of these houses are empty for years, so it's not something recent. I witnessed it myself, and nothing seems to be happening, and that is why I asked you to come in here today. And a lot of people look around them in their towns, villages, rural areas and say, why is that house empty for 5, 10, 15 years? And it's way too commonplace. This is notwithstanding, Minister, the Repair and Lease scheme, the Buy and Renew scheme, all the initiatives that you and your predecessor set in place to address this issue. It clearly hasn't had the impact we would like to have seen, as far as I'm concerned. As I say, you go to the older parts of town, you could have a street where one older person dies, another older person dies, and as each older elderly person dies, the house is closed up. Similar in some estates. I would suggest, Minister, maybe that some of these are caught up with banks, or there may be some other reason why these houses are empty. I think that has to be explored further. And also, Minister, I'd also pose the question to you there, notwithstanding the schemes and the fact that they are advertised, I know they're advertised by Mayo County Council, there doesn't seem to be much interest or take-up on it. And it just begs the question as to how attractive it is to be a landlord. And I would suggest, Minister, based on conversations with people, they don't want the hassle and the cost. And it's not as lucrative as, I suppose populist media might like to indicate that it is. And it's a big responsibility for people who take it seriously. And a lot of people don't want the hassle. So, Minister, just in going to Mayo County Council, I know that they've beefed up the housing section. I know they're busy, and I want to acknowledge the good work that they do there. They have a vacant homes officer, and so they seem to have all the ingredients there. But what I would like to see is Mayo County Council more proactive, so we can actually see results on the ground in relation to these eyesores, these houses that could be used. They're a valuable resource, and to bring them as part of our livable housing stock should be a priority. I believe, Minister, the Council need to put a technician on the ground to go door to door to establish why is a house empty, who owns it, and what can be done to bring it back into use. And that it has to be boots on the ground, and standing back in an office will not sort out this problem. And I ask, Minister, that you consider all these issues. Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to thank Senator Mulherin for raising this important issue and for giving me an opportunity to set out the extensive range of measures that this government has introduced to allow for the reactivation of long-term vacant residential dwellings back into the livable housing stock. An overarching action within Pillar 5 of Rebuilding Ireland is a commitment to develop a national vacant housing reuse strategy, which I published in July of last year. The strategy strives to provide a targeted, effective and coordinated approach to identifying and tackling vacancy across Ireland. My department and local authorities have already been proactive in dealing with vacant properties, with all local authorities having prepared vacant homes action plans. In addition, there are a number of schemes available to incentivise reactivating appropriate homes into the livable housing stock. We're continually examining new ways of reducing the number of vacant residential dwellings, and for example, when the initial rollout of the Repair and Lease scheme did not yield the results hoped for, we examined it and made improvements to its terms to make it more desirable to those who wish to bring their vacant property back into use. Correspondingly, the Buy and Renew scheme also has strong potential to purchase and reuse empty dwellings where properties are available that are suitable for social housing, and therefore is a valuable companion to the Repair and Leasing scheme. Mayo County Council is committed to utilising the aforementioned schemes. Of the 80 repair and lease applications received, the Council is currently engaging with the owners of 42 properties, and 12 agreements to lease have been signed. 3 homes have been completed under buy and renew, and the Council is assessing a further 10 homes. Similarly, 9 homes have been compulsorily purchased by Mayo County Council in 2019 for housing, 3 of which are being considered for progression under buy and renew. Mayo County Council is one of the local authorities that participated in a vacancy pilot field survey to assess the level of long-term vacant residential homes. Having visually inspected some 1,065 properties in their administrative area, some 61 homes were identified as being vacant over the 6-month period of the survey. And this is equal to a vacancy rate of 5.2%, which is in line with what could be expected to allow churn in a normal housing market. The Council will aim to engage with the owners of the 61 homes with a view to getting them reactivated into the housing stock. The Council has also developed the website vacanthomes.ie on behalf of the local government sector to serve as a central portal for individuals to anonymously log possible vacant homes so that local authorities can follow up with the registered owners. The website has proved a useful tool in aiding local authorities identify potentially vacant homes, with the latest statistics indicating that nearly 3,000 properties have been registered on vacanthomes.ie to date. Aside from the reactivation of privately owned vacant homes, the Department supports the comprehensive maintenance and remediation of local authority-owned vacant housing stock by way of the Voids programme. Since the outset of the programme in 2014, and in addition to its own resources, Mayo County Council has been provided with funding of €1.456 million to bring some 320 vacant homes back to productive use. Currently, 57 homes, or 2.7% of Mayo County Council's housing stock, is vacant, with 13 of these currently having a tenancy offered and a further 8 due to have offers made in the coming weeks. Following a call for proposals for 2019, Mayo County Council submitted some 32 properties for inclusion in the Voids programme, seeking funding of some €225,000. Allocation for the Voids programme are due to issue shortly, both centrally and at local level. We're committed to optimising the existing housing stock, and in that context, we'll continue to review all initiatives with a view to offering the best supports to those who wish to bring vacant homes back into use. Thank you.
Brief supplementary.
Yeah, just briefly. Minister, thanks for the answer. I'm glad to see there's some activity. I'd be interested, Minister, in getting some more information about the 61 properties. I would agree that the mainstay of empty houses are privately owned, and that there are not so much long-term voids in the council housing stock. But I could point to 61 properties in my own town alone, and that's only a part of the county. So I'm not quite sure where they're getting that from. And equally, I could think of or point to 61 houses that have been long-term empty. So, you know, I'm not sure how it's been done. As I said, I think there's no substitute for actually going door to door to door to door, as we actually have the joy of doing during a campaign, and then you would very soon establish there's a lot of empty houses, and you know, get to the bottom of it, because I don't think anyone, you know, I don't want to be disrespectful of the information, but I can't accept that there's only 61 private houses in Mayo.
Thank you. Minister.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Senator, for your follow-up remarks. I hope that the information that I've provided is useful in terms of actual numbers and figures, and the reason that we can do that is because we have vacant home action plans now for each of the local authorities, but also vacant home officers in each of the local authorities. And as I said in my initial response, Mayo was involved in this pilot programme. So when we get high-level numbers around vacancy, and we see reports from the CSO, we see reports from the Geo Directory as well, what we have seen when we've actually gone in and done the work is that they have overstated the true level of vacancy because of what they are counting. In the CSO case, they count summer homes, they count houses that are for sale or for rent. These types of homes which actually don't really speak to the kind of vacancy that we're talking about. So in the 6-month period that was done, there was a series of inspections of each property over a 6-month period to make sure that they were still vacant in that same period of time. And that led to, that was a visual inspection of over 1,000 properties. And of those over 1,000 properties, so not every property was inspected. I mean, so that wouldn't have included all of the homes that you might see in your constituency. But of the 1,000 properties inspected, 61 are what we would consider to be truly vacant homes that we think we can bring back into the livable stock, at least sorry, what Mayo County Council believe. And they're going to engage and do that now, which I think is very important. They've also got 80 repair and lease scheme applications received. So that's another 80 vacant homes that they could get back into use, which is separate to the applications they've had under buy and renew. And of their own vacant social housing stock, 320 vacant homes that were vacant for, needed serious work to bring them back into the stock, serious money to bring them back into the stock of social housing. 320 such homes are back in. There's now 57 homes vacant under the Voids programme in Mayo County Council, and we're going to work on their plan for an application for funding for 32 of those homes to bring them back into use with that funding this year. So good progress has been made, although more needs to be done. And if I could just in closing thank Mayo for setting up vacanthomes.ie. They're doing the heavy lifting for the rest of the country in allowing the public to identify vacant homes on their own road. Wherever they are in the country, that gets sent in. You take the picture off the phone, it's geo-coordinated with GPS. People know where it is, they can see the property, they can visually inspect it, each of the local authorities around the country, and then determine whether or not this is something that they can bring into their programme, be it for repair and lease, buy and renew, CPO, or another measure. So it is a very helpful tool that they have developed. I was very happy to see them doing that. Not long actually after I came into the brief, they stepped forward and they've been leading the way since. So I want to thank them for that. Thank you.
Thank you.